On this 50-point inspection, I have PHAZE, which is an IPA at 6.5% coming out of 4 Quarters Brewing LLC. They're out of Winooski, Vermont. And this beer was canned about 3 weeks ago. It's less than a month old at the time of this inspection. Let's go ahead and crack this open. So PHAZE pours with a very fluffy white head. The bubbles are starting to become a good medium size and starting to grow, so I think that head is going to start to dissipate. It's becoming more rocky-esque. The color of the beer itself is that nice hay-like yellow, straw, gold, whatever you want to call it, but it is hazy. All right, some aromas on this. It's a bit of a melon note, bit of passion fruit in there, touch of that pineapple. I mean, these are kind of standard notes in a lot of these New England style IPAs lately, but get a little bit of a malt presence. It's got a little bit of that malt sweetness to it. So maybe a little bit bready, but a slight bit of like wheat graininess, notes like that. Yeah, it's pretty mellow and soft, but juicy for the most part. Ooh, a little bit of bubble gum. That's more or less probably coming from the yeast. I'm not positive of any hops that would give off a bubblegum note, but I know that yeast, if it's a Belgian style yeast at least, can give off some bubblegum type notes sometimes. And I have no clue what they're using in this beer as far as hops, yeast, grain bill, nothing. I know nothing about it except for, look, it's got different phases of the moon. And it's from 4 Quarters Brewing. But yeah, delicately juicy, a little bit, some, that sweeter malt presence kind of coming through. It smells really nice. Let's get into some flavors now. Cheers. So lighter side, medium body, medium carbonation. Does have a softness on the palate. Picking up a lot of the malt type notes. It is a bit grainy, a bit on the wheat side. Yeah, kind of delicate hop flavors in this one. I would say it's maybe a touch of that passion fruit, and then yeah, a little bit of like a honeydew melon. The finish on it goes into this kind of herbal, like earthy tone type flavor, and that leads to somewhat of a moderate bitterness. There's a slight citrus action going on. A bit of that kumquat. It's kind of leading into that herbal, earthy tone bitterness. There's a bit of that like kumquat, which is a very bitter citrus fruit to eat. So, yeah. I'd say this one is a little bit off balance. The bitterness definitely is building, and it's not super sweet up front. Kind of just delicate, hoppy flavors at first, with a little bit of grain, wheat, maybe oat. All right, no alcohol perceived at 6.5%. Let's get a score going here. Okay, so for the appearance, it is a beautiful, beautiful beer. I give the appearance a 6 out of 6. A lot, because it's really hard. I mean, there are some that will get a lower score because they look like doo-doo caca. But yeah, nice, beautiful beer. 6 out of 6 for the appearance. The aromatics, I thought it was really nice. It was nice, delicate, but still juicy. There was like just an abundance of different notes I was picking up. Even getting bubblegum, which I don't typically get out of New England IPAs. And that was there present on the aromatics, not at first, but it did pop out eventually. So I'm at a 9 out of 10 for the aromas, also because you could smell some of the malt or wheat adjuncts, whatever you want to call them, that were used. For the flavors, this is where it gets a little bit off for me. Like I said, it's a bit unbalanced with the way that the bitterness happens. I'm not a huge fan of the kumquat, and getting that and that kind of bitterness that just comes with it on the tail end. The hops also didn't come off as nicely on the palate as they did in the aromas, and also the malt presence wasn't as kind of sweet smelling as it was. Like, well, obviously it didn't smell sweet on my palate. It's tasting, but the aromas led me to believe it would be a sweeter malt presence than what it was. It was just more in that kind of grainy and wheat to oat. No real bready malt action in this one with any sweetness. So just a little bit off balance, and the hops just not really giving off that much enjoyable flavors. It's more or less just going towards the finish of the beer is what you mostly notice out of this one, with that bitterness climbing, and earthy and herbal and kumquat, like the aftertaste, that kind of is what you're left with as well. Just this, like you just ate a kumquat. So I'm at 11 out of 19 for the flavors. The body on it, it's a light medium, but it does have that soft palate to it. So I think the body, it works. It's appropriate. 5 out of 5 for the body. My overall for this one, I was bouncing between a 6 and a 7 for my overall out of 10, and I'm gonna stick it at a 7. It does have some enjoyability factors to it. It's one of those ones where I believe the aroma's much better than the actual taste. But 7 out of 10 is what I'm sticking with for my overall, which is going to leave PHAZE IPA from 4 Quarters Brewing with a bumpy 38 out of 50, which is going to land it as a good beer. So I just want to say cheers. Thank you all for watching.